What do you see as being some of the biggest limiting beliefs other people have, maybe looking to get started, or maybe friends or family that you've helped? Anything stand out to you, Ian?
We could probably spend an hour talking about this, so I'm going to try and just pick the thing that holds people up the most. And it's honestly getting started. I don't know if you necessarily call it a limiting belief, but this idea of overwhelm. People, we live on the surface. We live on the surface of everything, and we don't go deep enough oftentimes. So the biggest limiting belief is that this is too complicated, I would say, or you tend to focus on your weakness rather than your strengths. So for instance, oh, I can't do that. I'm not very good with technology. That's just who I am. I'm not very good with technology. Or, oh, I can't do that. I'm not a people person. I'm not good on the phone. I'm not good at talking with people. Or, just basically you're afraid of failure. So you find excuses, to not go forward. So if you don't ever put yourself in a position of failing, then you don't have to worry about ever failing, And so I know that this is kind of like getting spread out here, and it's sprouting tentacles, this answer here, but it's this whole wrapped up kind of idea. I work a lot with students who are new to the wholesale formula, and sometimes I do really just want to shake them and say, just start, just do something, just start. And it's this idea of how do you eat an elephant, which is one bite at a time. Don't worry about the elephant, just worry about the next bite. Just keep doing that one little bit at a time. So for your listeners, please, I am begging you, start, just start, and then be a little reckless even. Like that's what I had to do. I had to be a little reckless.
Can wholesale be done equally as well on eBay? So I know you guys do Amazon. Do you guys do eBay? And if so, or if not, is it possible to replicate this business model on eBay, and why or why not?
I mean, I think it's definitely.
I'll let him go. I'll go ahead, and then I'll let you if you got anything to add to it. But because I'm going to encompass this question with the inevitable future questions, and that's basically all other third-party marketplaces. And the answer to that question is probably. But we don't feel like we're anywhere near our potential on the Amazon.com platform. And that's why we've never put any serious effort into .uk, Walmart.com, Jet, any of these other, eBay, any of these other third-party marketplaces. We've not put any significant time into them because .com is the biggest, and we're not anywhere near our capacity there. I mean, we're still growing year over year. So we just don't, we've never put a lot of good energy into it because we're doing so well with this and continue to grow. If we were stagnant at any point or begin to plateau, then you start looking for other revenue streams. But it's a question that you may have to ask somebody more experienced, because when we do list on eBay, but there's a third-party program that literally just ports it over on a few listings. Some listings are available to be sold, but it's not. We don't put a lot of effort into any other third-party marketplaces except .com.
I mean, I was going to say the same thing. I'm sure it's possible. We just have no idea how to do it.
Right.
Okay. We're good at what we do, and that's what we know. And so that's kind of, we stay in our lane and do really well there.
Eric, what systems do you have in place for managing your various wholesale deals and partnerships? Like, we're diving just right into the advanced right now because, as your inventory grows and you build more and more relationships and, you build more partnerships, how in the world do you manage all of that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of moving parts. So maybe you could start with like all the different moving parts or some of the things that you have to manage, and then how you kind of keep that spinning, right?
Well, the good thing, or the thing is, and to be completely truthful, my answer is not going to be very good for you because my employee that handles that is much like when I was doing it, it was literally a Google Doc spreadsheet. I mean, I'm just saying, that's, and he's, we've trained him and he's developed strategies and he's the one that's the point of contact for them. And I know that he's got his little database, and I don't even know.
I can answer this one. That's a supply side question, and Eric actually has no idea about the supply side.
Well, literally, when I did it, it was like 15 lines in a Google Doc. Last time I was contacting suppliers and stuff.
So we use we use various systems. Once we onboard with a supplier, they start selling us product, we manage that through Restock Pro. Now we did do it through Google Docs for a long time because if you're only ordering, we only order like once a month, and we try to buy about a month's supply. So whenever we're working with 10 or 15 companies, it's not very hard to balance. You just know you need to reorder roughly on this date. You start checking your inventory. Well, as that continue to grow, as you're growing, it can get crazy because, we carry at this point like 650-ish products. So Restock Pro, now what that does is it manages, you can leave notes and all kinds of stuff about, reminders in there, but it also monitors our stock levels on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
And it tells us, it'll send us an alert and be like, hey, guys, you're getting ready to sell out of this. Like, you need to go ahead and place that reorder. So, that thing has been honestly a godsend. As soon as we started using it, our revenues immediately jumped about 10 to 15%. And it's because we stopped selling out of stuff so often.
Because if you don't have, like, for example, say you have, a hot selling item and you're out of stock, you're not making money. What was that tool again? Because I want to make sure everybody knows what that tool was that you're using that kind of keeps you on track with your inventory stock.
Restock Pro.
Now, and the caveat is that you have to be doing a pretty good volume. Like he says, when you've got 30 to 40 to 50 SKUs, it's not that big a deal. We're currently, I don't know if it'll come up later, but currently we have about 600 SKUs actively in stock, with about 700 that we're actively stocking that may be out at the distributor level. I mean, at the wholesale level or whatever. But so when you get to that level, you just need to start having some automation.
Another great question coming in. Do you run the price lists in a program to find profitable products, or do you guys manually go through each SKU to calculate the profit when looking for wholesale deals?
We run through Price Checker 2. Price Checker 2 is a great software. And then we'll get a readout, and we may, that even though that price list may have told us, our profit margins or whatever, like, we'll still work on it from there. We're going to talk to them about some discounts and some other stuff to kind of help us see the profit margins that we like to see.
And just for clarity, in case that I want to make sure that they're not talking about just going through random price lists that you get at trade shows or something like this. The only time we're going through price lists is when we reverse source a product that we know we're very interested in. So that price sheet contains at least one product that we're interested in. Now that we're going to run it for the rest of their products, so that there's not wasting our time like we did for weeks and months and in years past, running just through random price sheets from trade shows or manufacturers distributors just hoping to find profitable products. At least in this case, there's one guaranteed product we're interested in. So, and then that's when we start running lists.
Do you guys spend any PPC, which is pay-per-click? It's essentially advertising on Amazon. Do you guys advertise through the PPC program on Amazon with your wholesale products, or no?
Sure. I mean, if that's something that we think will really help their brand, by all means. But here's the thing with wholesale, and something you should try to do is you should try to share that ad spend, or even get your get the brand to cover it, because a lot of these brands have existing they have existing advertising budgets. If you explain to them like how this advertising budget brings them more customers, more often than not, they're just happy to spend it for you.
Jason asks, Steve, love your content, have been a student for years. Thanks for all you do. One question is, what level in wholesale should I go from a sole proprietorship over to an LLC? So what do you guys think about that? Eric, maybe you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I don't know that moving to an LLC is going to, first of all, you should consult with a lawyer, because I'm just going to give you the synopsis as the way I understand it. And
you're not a lawyer.
Not even close. I've been in a lawyer's office several times, but I'm not a lawyer. But no, legally, it's going to allow you protection from lawsuits and things of this nature. Sole proprietorship, as the way I understand it, they could come after your personal belongings, whereas with an LLC, you're going to be protected. And then beyond that, there's tax benefits. Once you become an LLC, you can become taxed as an S corp. Which will you can put yourself on a payroll, and there's going to be some benefits, tax benefits, that are being legally an LLC but taxed as an S corp. And both of those things, I would suggest you talk to a lawyer for the LLC and a CPA for the LLC taxes and S corp. So it's there are definitely advantages, and that's the way we're currently set up. So take that for what it's worth. But any further than that, I certainly wouldn't make any changes to your business overnight based on what I just told you. But get you started in the right direction. Understand what benefits you can look at when you talk to these professionals.
What do you mean by private liability? Like getting sued?
Right.
Right. Because here's the thing is, like, let's say that Steve Co. Creates a product. You are the manufacturer of record. Like, if a child chokes, like you get your product and chokes on it, like you're getting sued. Now, whether your insurance covers you or not, there's a lot of loopholes there. Like, did you have it properly tested? Did you do all these other things? And then look at what Amazon recently did with fidget spinners. Like, that's really important, I think, is, and this shows that private label products can just be turned off in a whim too. Like, all these people who brought these fidget spinners to the market, what did Amazon require? They started requiring government testing. Do you know how hard it is to get government testing? It's like, it's dang near impossible. Like, that's the problem. So these people are going to have to go get tested to get their products reauthorized. Otherwise, it is literally dead money in their inventory. Now, if that happened to us, like, our companies do that for us. Like, all we do is like, hey, we need this documentation. Can you ship it to us?
And they are the manufacturer too.
Right.
They're the manufacturer on record. So if a consumer has a poor experience and somebody gets sued, they're the manufacturer of the product. So it's that company that is, liable for the product.
Now that you're running your business and you've scaled up to about 40,000 a month, I think you said behind the scenes, your best month was, I think, 45,000. How much time are you typically spending per week right now? What does your life kind of look like running this business in terms of your time spent?
Oh yeah. How could I have forgotten to mention that I quit my job 4 months ago? So that,
Congratulations.
Yeah. So that was kind of the cool part for me, is I got to put in my notice and say, see you later. So how much time I spend on it is really kind of hard for me to factor. I have several employees at this point, and they kind of manage most of the business. I'm really just the face of the company, honestly. I'm the guy calling them to work on those relationships and open up accounts. I would say I probably spend maybe 10 to 15 hours working on it. It doesn't really require a whole lot of maintenance once you get it going, especially if you have employees. And that's kind of, when you take the wholesale formula, we talk about that quite a bit, because it's just, when it comes to scaling, it makes it so much easier. So I would say probably 10 to 15 hours a week on the wholesale side of things.
Eric, what profit margins do you expect from each unit, or in general, what type of profit margins are you guys looking for on your wholesale deals?
Well, I'm going to caveat that with, like, it should be tailored to your business. I'm going to answer you as it's my business. I mean, ours can generally fall around 30%, but depending on your capital, your time, your ability to process any kind of, processing that may be involved, that number should be reflective of what you need to make your numbers make sense for your business. And for us, it generally falls around that. But that's not a steadfast rule by any stretch of the imagination. That is just where we can, a good number for us to still find a good number of accounts and still be able to turn a great profit. So
awesome, cool. And the wholesale formula course is an investment. It's expensive. What made you confident enough to pay for the course to begin with?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the honest to God truth is, in my first Q4 doing retail arbitrage, I got hooked up with this small group of people. It was like it was a group where basically you traded retail arbitrage and online arbitrage tips. And that group has persisted now for 2 years, and we are now not anything to do with retail arbitrage. None of us does it anymore, but we are basically essentially a mastermind that has grown and developed over the past few years. The people in that group took that course, and they said to me, you have to do this. And so it was on the strength of those testimonials that I dove in. And so that was really it. It was people that I knew who had done it and tried it and said that this is the real deal and you have to do this, was what really just gave me the confidence to say, okay, I'll do it, and kind of jump in from there.
Did you find that having a community while starting wholesale was helpful for you?
Yeah. So actually the community is a very understated part of this program. When you're first starting out, you are going to have so many questions, and the Facebook community is extremely active. I used it a lot then, and the cool thing is if I'm being perfectly honest with everybody, I have not opened up and looked at the wholesale formula in probably a year. Like, I haven't opened it up and looked at the videos, but I'm active in that community every single day. Like, that is where I go now when I have these evolving next level kind of high level questions and problems that I'm running into, because it's also a changing landscape. Amazon is a changing landscape. You know, anybody who's been in this long enough, you know, kind of understands this, you know, how brand registry has come about, and you know, how all these IP infringements, these are just kind of the latest things, you know, and it's always changing. And Dan, Eric, Dylan, all those guys are extremely active in that group as well.